It says we're live.
At least YouTube works.
Allegedly. We're still going to have to check.
Oh, you always find out 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
20
seconds
20
later.
seconds later.
It should show up.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, it shows up. Yep, that's my voice.
It says we're live. All right.
All right.
Talk us through.
So,
what do we start? What are we talking about?
Yeah, let's just make sure that this audio works. What happened?
Mute that shit. I can hear. It's like an echo bass over here.
Yes, we don't want that.
No.
Interact with this. So this should, if we just play for a quick brief. Okay. Now let's. Whoops. Come on.
Technical
This is a
difficulties.
disaster.
Always technical difficulties.
Okay, it works.
This will
it works.
all.
So when we're playing the audio on here, it'll play on the stream. So now, what we're gonna do. Oh, Mike texted me. He says, "Text me when you guys are live. I'm gonna watch while I'm at work." All right.
That's funny.
I'm gonna let him know that we just went live now.
Just.
So, hello, Mike, in the future when you get here.
Hello, future Mike.
So, the world is a crazy place. There's a lot of ridiculous things that have been going on, as I'm sure you are not blind to, right?
No, I've seen. What are you talking about? Nothing.
Nothing. Everything's normal.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely nothing is strange,
I heard
out of
something
ordinary.
about a pandemic going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
about
people
that.
were talking about something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
don't know.
anything ever came of it or anything
sure.
like that. But so what I have here is something that you have not seen.
No, I've not.
It is a video. It's a Microsoft press conference. I guess about their Ignite security. I don't know anything about what product they're shilling here. It doesn't matter. What matters is the introduction of this presentation by the individuals doing it.
Right.
And I'm just gonna play it, and we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna mute our
Okay.
microphones here.
Ooh.
And if I can figure out how to do that.
All right. So the mics are back at least.
Our mics should be back.
Yeah. All right.
Let's just make sure, because I thought the audio was working on the screen.
There's a lot to unpack just from the first minute of that video.
Yeah, and there's one more. Someone else comes in.
Yeah.
I might have to skip ahead to that. I think it's just a few seconds.
Yeah.
They talk about some stuff. But
But we had nobody could get the audio off the video.
no,
So.
nobody got the audio. We're going to try to fix that.
Whew. All right. Join us for technical difficulties.
Okay. No, I wonder. We might have to manually.
By the way, yeah, well, yeah, we can manually.
Yeah.
That's fine. By the way, my has my laugh always been that annoying?
Always.
Damn it!
Since the beginning of time.
Ah, damn!
I didn't want to tell. I didn't have the heart to tell you.
All right,
But,
I'm not laughing at anything anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go like this. Every time something's funny.
That's better. That's
like I'm taking a shit.
That's honestly better. That's 1,000 times better.
I'm be holding a shit. All right.
So
you're gonna try this again?
we're gonna try this again.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna try to make sure. So let's mute our mics manually.
All right. Bye. All right. Apparently, we're not gonna get this working. Oh my god.
How the hell?
Is that part of what you want me to unpack? Is that
introduction?
The introduction.
That's
yeah.
what we're going for.
Okay. All right. Get this off the screen because I can't see.
Yeah, Mike. We know. All right. We're incompetent. He's fucking telling us no.
What's he saying?
We're working through this.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
All right. Whatever. All right. Listen.
In case you didn't know, well, what you definitely didn't know, she introduces herself as a white Caucasian woman with blonde hair. That's her introduction. I am a white Caucasian woman with blonde hair.
It's for the blind, I suppose. That must be what it's for.
Exactly.
But I love the she her.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about it. Is your mic is still muted, eh? Your mic's still muted, buddy. There you go.
Okay.
All right. This is a mess. This whole thing's a mess, man.
This should be working out. This is what happens when we try new things.
Yeah, no, when you try new things
Fuck
and
you,
I
Michael.
go along with you.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not going to be
All right.
any audio on this stupid video in the middle.
Yeah, no.
We're just going to unpack it.
It should just be working, but it's not. So,
Let's unpack the first
fuck
minute
it.
of what we saw there.
So she introduces herself as a white Caucasian woman with it. Fuck you, Mike. A white Caucasian woman with blonde hair. That's important. That's a part of her identity.
That's important.
All right. And he introduces himself as
That was hilarious.
as a Caucasian male with
Glasses
and a beard. And
he, him.
So there's another
Pronouns, he, him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they added the pronouns.
Oh, they
too.
added pronouns,
She,
of course.
her, he, him.
Yeah.
And there's another woman that comes in. She's an Indian woman, and she introduces herself the same way. So ridiculous stuff. She her was like blonde or brown hair, brown eyes was a part of her thing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's absolutely insane.
Is this the first you've seen of this kind of thing? It's the first I've seen where someone's describing themselves before they use their pronouns.
Yes.
Or after.
Yes.
Sorry, after they use their pronouns.
Yes.
Okay, so I shop at the Home Depot quite often, and the Home Depot likes to say over the loudspeaker that they are now inclusive, and they're allowing their associates to put their pronouns on their aprons, or on their name tags or aprons and that, for a more inclusive environment. That's what they like to say. So they've been doing that for months. So this is
the pronouns has been a thing for a while. It's insane.
Yeah.
Especially since you have a whole bunch of made up pronouns and ones that are fucking like plural.
So I use, the ones I use.
Them. Like, what the fuck?
Well, you know the ones I use as a joke, right? Mine are here kitty and there kitty.
Here kitty and there kitty.
Yeah,
yes,
so,
I like that one.
Yeah, so I want people to call me a kitty.
We want to be respectful to Alex's pronouns, so please refer to them
and that's
as
the funny thing.
Their kitty.
Right, exactly. And that's the funny thing about it. Okay, as far as the pronouns, I just think it's so stupid. I have no problem with being polite to people, and if somebody wants to, if somebody is transitioning to a different gender and they want me to acknowledge them as that gender, I'm cool with it. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't hurt my feelings in any way, and it doesn't hurt my sensibility or my ego or anything like that where I have to not do it. But it's just idiotic as far as like these. I have to use different pronouns to
pronouns that didn't exist until 5 years ago, when Tumblr really got out of hand before they shut it down. And
but I just find that stupid. That's what I find stupid about it. It's like it doesn't change anything. It's funny actually. I had a very quick dispute with my sister very recently about. I had asked her something politely. I asked her for something politely to hand me something, or I can't remember what it was. And she looks at me and she goes, "Please," and I went, "What?" I go, I'm supposed to say please before you'll just politely hand me the thing that I politely asked for? Just tell me no. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking say please. I go, you teach kids to say please to teach them manners. But once you've learned manners, please is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The word please is just a stupid thing to say.
You're either being polite or you're not.
Right,
or,
exactly. When did we lose context and when did words mean so much in that regard?
Right.
Like I thought it was more about context than it was about the actual words we say. But now it's gone the other way around.
No, it's
now.
been completely about the sound. It's the noise, right? It's like the N word, right?
Yeah.
The forbidden word. And do you remember that story a while back where that Netflix executive got fired for?
Yeah, he was saying it. Yeah, he was saying. He was just
here
saying
are
the word
things that you can't say.
Yeah,
and he said it.
Yeah,
and they fired him for it.
Yeah, I know.
It's the noise that I don't understand. I really just can't wrap my head around how insane this is and how far it's gone. But it's completely beyond context now. No one gives a crap about context anymore. It's all it's this Twitter mentality of the short term of attack. Attack and kill, attack and kill. That's what we were talking about. Last weekend, Jordan Peterson and his when he kind of first rose to fame, it was about this basically compelled speech bill C-16 here in Canada, and he was, I guess, in an interview, he was basically describing that if a student went up to him and said, "Hey, here's my situation and here's how I would like you to refer to me," he has no problem with it. He'll do it, right? It's about respect and making, obviously in a classroom environment, you want students to feel comfortable or whatever, right? But he's like, it's a whole different game when you're coming to me and saying, here is how you have to refer to me. Right. It's control. And if you don't, right, it's a power thing. Yeah. It's a control thing. And I think that's why we have so many of these new pronouns and so many of these new genders and all these different ways of being, is because it gives people who feel powerless and weak, who are not good people to begin with, I think that's fair to say, in a lot of these cases, it gives them the ability to sort of enact this power, this control, this, they can feel big, that, maybe they were picked on as a kid, or, that kind of thing, where they kind of get this, you get that every now and then, right? You get the kid that gets picked on and then he kind of grows up and, he kind of takes control of his life and gets his shit together and doesn't become spiteful and revengeful.
Wow, that's gender. That's gender assignment. You're going there. You're saying his. How do you know? What do you don't? You don't know what his gender is.
I don't care.
Could be any.
but you get that all the time, right? Yeah. You get two types of people who, when they have sort of a rough childhood or they have if they have problems throughout their life, you get the kind of person that gives in to what is happening to them, and they let it control them, right? And they don't go down a good path. They become spiteful. They seek out revenge. They don't.
They look to gain control in any way that they can, right?
And they relish in it, if they can get it.
And we live in a world.
Then you get the people that just kind of they grow up.
Yeah, but we live in a world now where it's like there's power given to those people. It's like it's like, so back in the day, if you had somebody who was say a nerd or a loser or a geek or whatever the heck word you used back in the day to describe somebody who was an outlier to the social norms, if you will, they had like little cliques and little groups that they would feel inclusive in, right? Which is great. Right. I'm glad that they had that, right? I disagree fundamentally with shaming somebody for any kind of that they have, or because take me for example. When I was growing up, I was a jock because I loved sports and I played all different kinds of sports and stuff. But I also
really love being around men, right?
I do, yeah. Of course, obviously, I still do. But I also like D&D. Right. I fit into different categories where somebody would say I was a loser over here, but then another person would say it was cool.
No, that was exactly my role in high school. Was like not a role that exists in the archetypes. But it's fucking. Mike's completely right that the people that were bullied want to be the bullies now. They don't just want to be, like, they are actively the bullies. they will mob onto people on Twitter in horrific ways, right? They jump on. They're like, we need to get this person fired. We need to, you
just want to end their life.
We need to dox their family. Yeah, like they literally want to kill these people without going that far. But as you've seen in some of the rioting that has happened, the second things go that far, they are right along with it. Like they won't say, they won't say we need to go out and we need to commit violence and we need to physically hurt people. They won't. Right. There are some, you can find people that will say that, but it's not the majority. But there are a lot of people that once that violence happens, they're right there with it. They're not saying, whoa, hold on, we went too far here.
Right.
They're saying, yes, this is what we need, and it's absolutely insane.
Well, it's funny though, because that was the reason why, quite honestly, rolling back to that little thing with my sister, that's why I got irritated with her. I was like, you're compelling my speech for one, and what are you like? It's like dance because I want you to say a word, say that word specifically, or don't get what you want. All right, then just I don't need anything from you. Fuck off. Like I just don't understand the whole compelled speech, the whole control over people. I'm not one of those people. I don't like to. If I've got to control someone to get an outcome that I want, it feels contrived to me. It feels like I've made that. I've manipulated that activity. I want someone to do something, in most ways. Obviously, there's a difference when you're dealing with, like in management or something like that, where you're trying to kind of compel an outcome from your employees.
Well, yeah, so but it's different too when you're representing a company.
But I mean, like on a personal level. So, like when we're talking about people in your personal life and such, I just want them to act the way they act, and I have no control over that in any way.
Your actions speak for who you are as the person, and I will gauge how I want to, whether I want to be around you or how I want to be when I'm around you based on that. It's
everything else seems phony to me.
Well, yeah.
It seems like you're reacting to a way.
So much of modern society is phony.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like I feel like there was, maybe this is just romanticizing the past, but I feel like there was a time when people's word actually meant something. Where you shake someone's hand for some reason, right? Whatever, okay, I'm gonna go out with you in the morning to help you harvest your whatever, right? Yeah. Or I'm gonna be by later.
Your word meant something back
then. I will have some money later, and I need some bread now, kind of thing. And you will make sure that you pay up on that. And I do think maybe a part of that was that if you didn't, someone might come knocking on your door, and it could,
there was more consequence back then.
There's more consequence, but at the same time, it was still, I don't know. It just feels like people were more respectable.
Well, no, but you actually just touched on something I think you're completely right about. I think it's personal accountability. So if you look at the people on like Twitter or online, any different forum online, they can very easily destroy someone and be anonymous. Yeah, they don't have to have anybody ever really confront them.
Complete anonymity.
Yeah, and even if they didn't have if they weren't anonymous, they still don't have to take on that actual confrontation face to face. They're doing it. Yeah. It's like someone who breaks up with you over the phone or via text or something like that. That happens a lot, right? Where people. Oh, yeah. Or ghosting and things like that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than looking.
It's so much easier than actually, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think anybody's been guilty of that kind of thing in different scales in their life, but it seems now that it's rampant and it's in everything, and it has those kinds of people that are what I would say cowards. I think anybody who propels cancel culture is a coward.
Absolutely.
But I think those people have so much power now. They have. And they have this power only because they're the loudest. And it's like, it feels like they're appeased.
It is the vocal minority.
Right.
It's a very small, this is a great analogy. It's a very small percentage of the population, but the internet kind of exacerbates the problem. It's, at any given point in time, you might have, I don't know, so you got a town or a city with, 1 million people, or, an area with a million people.
Yeah, that's a city.
But okay, you got this area of 1 million people, right? It might span more than the city, it might be a whole region or whatever, however big it is. And in this region of 1 million people, you might have 1,000 of them who are these extremists, who are these radicals, who are like the communists and the Marxists and the Nazis and the really out there people who are
far ends of the spectrums. Sure.
Yeah. And because of the small concentration of them, they don't get any legs really, unless unless something drastic or dramatic happens, like what happened in the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany, where you have very extreme circumstances kind of bringing about a more radicalization of the people because there's desperate circumstances,
sure,
crazy things going on. People maybe explore these ideas more. You just have these people get drowned out, and they're the crazy ones. Mm-hmm. But when you go on Twitter, that small percentage of people from this region, well, they get connected.
Yeah.
So like maybe there's 300 million people in the United States, and 1 million of them are these radicals. Well, now they're all in one place. So it feels much bigger. When you post something on Twitter and you get attacked by 1 million people, that feels like a lot. But really, it's just the only 1 million people who are willing to go to that distance. Everyone else just kind of sits back and doesn't really do anything, or they just don't know what's going on. They're not
most people are moderate, apathetic people, right?
They're just kind of living their life. They're not really engaged. But when all these people can combine into a mass and they can come at you, it feels much more detrimental, and you're going to maybe react in a more complacent way towards them, which I think is what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. Normally they'd be more spread out, and I guess that's the main idea that I'm trying to get at. Normally they'd be more spread out, and they wouldn't be able to get a lot of traction, but because of the internet, they can all clump together and make themselves seem big. It's kind of like if one person knocks on your door and they're mad at you. It's like, what? It's just one guy. Like, what do you want? Why are you here? If there's 100 people standing at your door waving a pitchfork, you might be like, all right, okay, I'm sorry. You might be a little more. You know what? What do I need to say to make?
I didn't know where you were going with that particular point, but that's not a bad point actually. That's pretty good. I mean, like there's that strength in numbers, right? So it feels like. When
feels
there's
100 people knocking at your door,
yeah,
it's a completely different dynamic when it's just one guy.
True. Yeah. Unless that guy has a gun.
Well, yeah, but even if he has a gun, like I'm just there are things.
No, I agree with you. It's I think, but I've said this to you before off camera. We talked about this before, and I think it's cyclical. I think that we've seen this before, but I think what we haven't seen, this is the first time we've seen the internet, and the internet just exacerbates all of this.
Yep.
You have. Because you can streamline information, so you can have 100 million people get something within a day.
Oh yeah,
if it goes viral, right? Like if something goes viral and starts to move around, it can move around crazy.
If Joe Biden goes and declares war, not everybody, like 5 billion people are going to know about it within 12 hours.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, unless like the people who don't have the internet, who are in the middle of nowhere,
let's say
they're not going to get it.
I think your numbers are a little high because you're factoring in kids too. You're factoring in kids, and then there's a bunch of people that don't have the internet.
Yeah, but they're gonna hear about it.
They're gonna hear about it.
They're gonna hear about
Carrier pigeons and shit.
Well, there's not that many people that don't have the internet now.
It's true.
Like even like small villages in Africa that where like the individuals maybe
they don't have running water, but they have the internet.
They have cell phones out there now.
I know. It's
crazy.
They don't have
how far the reach of technology
access to like clean water and stuff, but they got cell phones. We might be we might be focusing on the wrong things, but
it's not. It's a whole different.
No, I'm kidding.
It's a whole different problem.
That's funny, that video that we were watching. Obviously, no, you couldn't get it to work on there, but it's if you've watched videos on like socialist Democrats and stuff, that stuff is ridiculous too. I mean, it's just as ridiculous. It's
point of personal privilege.
Yeah, point of privilege. Yeah.
Have you seen that video?
Yeah, that's the one.
Insane.
That's the one I was. That's the one I was referring to.
That's absolutely insane. It's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, point of personal privilege.
It's like how minor are the problems in your life?
Right.
That this is what you're going to talk about, or like this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to act. This is how you want to be seen.
But this all feels like so no one could know exactly the culmination of what would happen when you start giving participation awards to kids in school, and everybody gets a
Right.
trophy, and you know, all these things that we did to weaken people in their formative years.
Yeah.
We didn't know what that was going to necessarily do, but I think we're seeing it now. I think because we've seen a whole generation now plus of
Right.
of these young kids growing up. Like even you're part of that generation.
I'm a Zoomer.
I'm probably the last of the generation. I got the strap in grade school. I would have to put my hands out, and I got the strap, right? So I was probably the last sort of generation that had that happen to them. I mean, I remember one time I had a teacher grab me by the back of my. I had long hair at the time. Yeah. She grabbed me by my tuft, the tuft of the back of my hair, and picked me up and dragged me to the front of the class. But when she did it, she tore her nails in the back of my neck, ripped the back of my neck all up. And I went home. I was in grade 3 or 4. I was maybe 9 at the time or something like that. And I went home and I told my mom. And my mom went down to the school the next day because it was too late that day. And I thought she was gonna wreck house, but she didn't actually end up doing much at the time to my dismay. But it was a different time where like that teacher didn't get any reprimand whatsoever. There was She wasn't suspended in any way or anything. It was. You imagine you heard
normal.
Yeah, imagine you heard something like that happen now.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
Teacher would be in jail.
She'd be in jail most likely.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, but that softens people. It softens society.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, so I look back. It wasn't in that particular instance. Quite honestly, I wasn't doing anything that should have brought that on. But not that I wasn't the type of kid that didn't deserve that kind of reaction.
Yeah, no.
I was brutal. I was a brutal kid. Like I was fighting all the time. I was doing all kinds of stuff. This happened to be an instance where some kid behind me, he thought it was a funny thing to pinch your ass during because I went to Catholic schools during prayers or the O Canada. He'd pinch your ass, and when you looked around, he'd blow a kiss at you. And he did that. And that one morning, I decided I was going to hit him, so I gave him an elbow. And of course, like the instigation bullshit in hockey and stuff.
Yep.
She didn't see the initial thing.
No,
she saw
sees the reaction.
my reaction and went after me. But like I said, I'm sure I got away with a lot of stuff that other situations would have sort of warranted a reaction. Maybe not that reaction, but a reaction similar in some way. I don't agree with like her digging her nails in the back of my head or grabbing me by the hair. She could have grabbed me by the arm and pulled me aside or something, but she decided she wanted to hurt me.
He's still mad about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna find her, and I'm gonna end her. Because hey, there's no statute of limitations on anything now.
No, there isn't.
This was like 20 years ago.
She might be dead. Was she old?
Hey, this was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If my math's correct,
20 years ago.
it's more like
34.
It's more like 35 years ago. Yeah. 34. Anyways,
More than a quarter century.
but there's no statute of limitations. I can get her fired completely. What's that say? My teacher put a golf club through my desk.
Yeah.
See?
I get a 5-iron right through the desk.
Mike, that's nothing. I had a teacher one time throw a chalkboard eraser at me. He literally, the guy behind me,
chucked it at you.
But he drilled it. Ooh. This was in grade 10. I'm in grade 10 at the time, so I'm like 14, 15, something
So
like
you
that.
should have caught it.
And it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't even me. It was this guy Graham behind me. And he went to chuck it at him, and I saw it coming, and I did this, and whack, right off my arm. My whole arm swelled up.
That's your fault. You should have caught it. You're in grade 10.
I probably should have, but I just did one of these, like whack.
Absolutely no excuses at that point.
Yeah. But it's funny though, like I didn't say anything. I didn't tell anybody about it. Like I didn't go, I'm gonna go cry about it. He came up to me and he took me aside. He's like, I'm sorry, that wasn't for you. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
Yeah, at least you did that, right?
I don't know. I was just a tough kid that way. I just whatever. I mean, I wasn't gonna cry to the principal. I was. Come on, I was fine. My elbow hurt for a couple of days, and
What is Mike trying to say here?
it was good. He's got a long thing. You read it out for us.
I'm not sure. It
Something
makes
about the generation.
The generation that get awards for participating companies have seen jobs that are harder to work for a less amount of people going through the training programs as people are being sissy. Oh, okay. He's saying hard jobs are not getting people because, No, my generation doesn't want to work.
Oh, buddy. So
Plain and simple. Of all the people that I know or have known throughout my life at my age group, roughly, there maybe 10% of them will, go to work and
Yeah,
work
have a
hard,
hard work
and
ethic.
Try, yeah, maybe 10%, maybe
I had a
20 if I'm
guy.
being generous,
I had a
but-
guy work for me. This was
Yeah.
hilarious. This guy, I was reprimanding for something. I can't remember
Right.
exactly what it was. But anyways, long story short, I go in and I'm talking to him in front of some other employees and stuff. And he starts to go. He looks at me. He goes, "You're getting all like worked up." He's like, "I feel like you're gonna hit me." He's like, "Your neck is twitching. Like you've got your veins are popping out of your neck." And he goes, "You need to relax." I looked at him. I go, "Cut the bullshit." I go, "You don't like what I'm saying, so you're gonna try and play like I'm being overly aggressive with you." I go, "Just take what I'm saying, shut up, and move on." But it's this whole like muffin society. It's like, oh my god,
they're very soft.
The way you said it to me, it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I used to have this
You're
thing called the
mean.
hurt
Mean words.
hurt feelings report, and I'm like, and one of the first lines on it said, "Tell me the ear that the hurtful words were spoken into."
Yes.
It was really funny. So I printed out a bunch of them, and when guys would gripe about something, I would
Yeah.
just push it over to them. I'm like, "Fill that out, please, for me."
Yeah.
And by the time like the third time I handed one out, they knew exactly what I was giving them. It was the big FU joke.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's
I don't know.
I don't know. It's depressing. This is something that this is universities and colleges. They have
They're
become
not teaching anymore.
completely corrupted.
Yeah, they're not teaching.
Their businesses. They are they treat students as customers rather than students. So it's their sort of model is the customer is always right. So they're gonna push people through. Like when I was in university, like this seems like ridiculous for a university to do. Thinking back to it, but when I was there, if we had an exam and the entire class did poorly, the professor would just change the grading scheme so that everybody did better.
Wow.
Instead of just being like, no, like 10% of the class passed, everyone else failed. That's the way it is. This is a serious academic institution. No, they would just fucking fudge the numbers so that everyone passed, or not necessarily everyone, but enough of the class passed so that the professor looked good.
Wow.
And then all these people graduate, and then what do? They go to
They're
school and
useless.
they don't know what to do. They're absolutely useless. This is I watch a lot of Tim Pool.
Apparently.
Tim Pool. Do you know Tim Pool's story basically?
Yeah, we talked about it. I know. Yeah.
But like his
Backstory,
life?
where he started.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. Say it here because it doesn't matter whether I know it or not.
Tim Pool is an interesting cat. He, I guess he dropped out of high school at some point. Spent a lot of time couch surfing.
Skateboarder. And
Yes, he was a skateboarder, pretty good skateboarder. That's not important though. He
stuff. It might be.
he ended up sort of getting into sort of journalism, and he wound up
Yeah, freelance.
working at Fusion or I forget, Univision. I think is the corporation, and then he was, I guess, what's called the founding member of Fusion, which means he was like the first employee is kind of what that
Sure.
means. And he had a very good job. He talks about this all the time, how he was making probably $200,000 a year, and he was doing nothing. And once the company started to get woke and everything, and he wanted to leave, they were basically just willing to pay him to do nothing. And even he's talked about this openly on his show. He got like a $40,000 bonus after he tried to quit, and they wouldn't let him because he had a contract. And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm just not going to do anything." And they're like, "Fine." And then he just got a $40,000 bonus, and they're like, "Oh, do you like that?" He's like, "Okay, this doesn't change anything."
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
That reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. You never watched Seinfeld. But
I did, but
there was one where George gets a job with a company called Play Now, and then they think he's disabled at first, and then they find out he's not disabled,
Right.
but he's got a contract with them. So he doesn't do anything. They're just paying him because it's less expensive for them to keep him on and pay him.
Right.
So they're just paying him. He's not really doing anything. It's hilarious. Yeah.
right. But so Tim Pool talks about how during this time he would, he was kind of a big deal within the company. He was during the Occupy Wall Street era. He was like Time Magazine Person of the Year, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did well in like the corporate media landscape, which is why it's more respectable that he left and did his own thing.
Sure.
And is succeeding at that. But he talked about how he would hire somebody to do a job, and when that person started, the person would go to him and be like, "I don't know how to do this. You got to tell me how to do this." And he'd be like, well, but like I don't know I hired you to do this. That's why you're here.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but if you don't tell me what to do, how do I know? So it's like these people are coming out of these schools completely unqualified,
right.
because the entire education system, not all of it, I think it has been trending in a direction where, you know, if you go back to 1990, maybe 10% of like degrees, programs, and everything were
Fluff.
useless. Yeah, completely useless.
Yeah.
It's expanded to where now it's
right.
like 90%.
Leisure and recreation studies and
Where you're not learning anything, but now it's like 90%.
How is that even a real thing? Leisure and recreation studies. That's an actual. I'm pretty sure something like that. It's,
money is how.
Yeah.
You offer it.
I'm
going to
learn.
Will pay for it.
Yeah, I'm going to learn how to properly.
Yeah.
You know.
Relax
and.
But the entire way through, you're told exactly what to do. You're told exactly how to, you know.
Well, that's the weird thing about it. That's why I don't understand people. You know, I never saw the need to go to school just because I was always a business-minded person. I thought I'm just going to start my own business and stuff. And I thought, you know, what better way to do it than just get into business and now learn the hard knocks way.
Right.
But it's now it's like the prerequisite for a lot of jobs is an irrelevant degree. It's like, oh, you just have to have a degree in such and some of them don't even. Some of them aren't even specific. Some of them are just like
post-secondary.
A post-secondary degree.
It's this fetishization of people you're in your generation, right? When you were younger,
sure.
We'll say maybe more of what your parents would have observed is everybody coming out of university was that's what you had to do to get a good job, to be a doctor or whatever, right? Because you were actually learning practical skills, right? And then your generation comes along and it's sort of the same thing. That's what you do to get these higher up jobs, these high paying, good career path jobs. And so your generation has this sort of fetishization of the university system because that's just always what it has been. And then you're going into my generation, that's all we were told. You gotta go to college, you gotta go to university, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. It was never presented as an option to just, you know, do your own thing.
Yeah.
It's just not an option. It's just not something that you could possibly attain. It's just, no, you got to go to university and everything. And so people have this, they've been hypnotized almost into thinking that university is higher education. But honestly, right now, I think it's lower. It's you go to university to get extended daycare for an extra 4 years, basically, right? Yeah. To have people tell you what you're supposed to do and to have your life sorted out because the government's going to give you loans and everything, so everything should be paid for. It's just an extra 4 years of fucking around.
Well, that used to be the difference between college and university. College was more like practical. You were going to learn like practical skills. Mm-hmm. University, you were going to learn a little bit more like academic type stuff. You were going to learn a little bit. You were going to get a lot of like book smarts essentially from university, but you were going to get a lot more sort of field smarts from college.
And that still is kind of how it is, except it's just the quality is way, way, way down. Right?
Yeah.
You go to college, right? Like we got Mohawk College here. They have some good programs for learning how, if you're going to become an electrician or a plumber or any of that.
But that's more, that's for the trade stuff.
But still, you go to take that class, you're going to take these social studies courses. You're going to take these courses that teach you Marxism.
They still got to do a little bit of indoctrinization while
they force it on you. They're mandatory.
Yeah.
They're not relevant to your course, but they're completely mandatory.
It's so irritating to me. I mean, the idea that you're going to go into debt for 2 to 4 years or whatever, right? It's cool, but all you're really going to get out of it is going to be some forced doctrination.
You're going to get indoctrinated, and then you're going to get a piece of paper that hopefully somebody looks at and says, all right, I'll hire you because of this. Even though, me personally, if I'm in a position to hire somebody, and I see, depending on what the degree is, I see a university degree, my eyebrow is going to raise up and be like, I don't know, like, I'm going to need to talk to you. You're going to need to convince me in a conversation that you're not insane, right? Like that you are capable of doing a job or something like that. Because right now it's like, so you went to university. Okay, so if I hire you, what are you going to do? You're going to complain about your mental health, and you're going to make me call you Zer or they, and you're going to call in
Zer.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah.
Zer?
Yeah. Zer. Zimzer.
I'm Zimzer. Those are my pronouns are Zimzer.
Exactly. And I have,
use it in a
and
sentence.
I have brown hair.
Yeah, use it in a sentence.
Green eyes.
I want to see Zimzer used in a sentence.
Zim went to the supermarket.
That's not really. No,
I don't know. You can make it up. It's whatever you want. It's stupid.
Yeah, I know. I've seen these
or
videos,
you're coming from college. Are you a communist?
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I don't. Yeah. Are you a communist? Oh no, you're not a communist. Okay, well, what do you think about Karl Marx? Because a lot of these people are fully. They don't know what they're talking about, but they're full Marxists, but they won't.
It's because they're communists. It's the whole, like it feels good, right? It feels good to say that you're going to do this and that and the other to help humanity. It's a real feel-good thing. So people want to feel good, and they want to be on that side of it. But
society is complicated, and we teach our kids that they can just fix it, and you can't.
It's not to say that capitalism isn't a perfect. Capitalism's not a perfect system either, but it's a better system.
Capitalism isn't a system. Well, capitalism is the natural state of things that we observe and we give it a name.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a system to it. We've created a system out
but that's not capitalism.
No, if you're looking at
the rules that when we put a regulation and a rule on top of what people are doing, you are moving away from what would be pure capitalism and into something else. You cannot have pure capitalism because that's
no, you can't because
that's complete anarchy.
People are corrupt.
Well, no, it's literally anarchy to have that, and
you can have fail safes.
I want to talk to Michael Malice. He's an anarchist. He's bringing me closer and closer. I'm very libertarian, but I think we need to have some kind of state.
Well, of course you do. Absolutely. Yeah. It's what keeps people civilized. Like the more we lose religion in
that's a big one.
Yeah, the more we lose religion in our society, the more we need other stabilities that keep us from killing each other, essentially, right? Because otherwise, really, you don't have there's no governance. And that's why people lean to government more.
The state becomes God.
Yeah, the state becomes God, and
that's what's happening. And that's what happened in the Soviet Union. That's what happened in China.
Yeah, it's cyclical. It's what happens all the time, right? Like we're not reinventing the wheel here with humanity.
We can try doing that. You think that's $1 billion idea? Reinvent the wheel?
Who does?
We can just reinvent the wheel.
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already did. I did. It works.
You
better.
did? It works better.
It works better.
They've done that.
It's rounder.
They have weird shapes.
No, my wheel's rounder than the wheel now.
It's rounder?
Yeah. That was the problem with the wheel. Like, it's not round enough. So I rounded it more. It works better.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it takes 10% of the inertia off of the ground from the wheel. Not bullshit at all. I'm just going to need $10,000 for you to invest with me.
I see.
And you'll be a founding member.
Just a founding member of the rounder wheel.
Hey, you went to university?
Yep, briefly.
Yeah. So you're not smart enough to have critical thinking.
No, I dropped out of university, so that gives me.
Damn it!
Gives me some.
You got any friends from university that I can swindle out of? I mean, bring my new wheel to, my reinvented wheel.
Don't be real. None of them have any money.
That's rough.
They're all in debt.
So I used to recruit a lot back in the day when I was with a large MLM firm, and a lot of the people I would recruit I would recruit them in the service industries and stuff, right? Like I should say prospect them in the service industry, and 90% of them had some kind of degree in something, but they're working at places like Kelsey's or in service industry, right? And they're 3-4 years out of university, but they're working somewhere like that. I always thought that was a telltale, right?
Wild.
What are you messing with over there?
I'm just playing.
He's playing around. He gets bored. His ADD starts to kick in.
It does.
And watch, you're gonna.
Notice the logo is squished.
This
isn't doing anything on the.
Yeah,
actual
you're gonna
stream.
end up screwing it up somehow.
I have it saved. Remember?
Yeah. Hopefully,
but
it's
I'm
saved.
pretty sure it's saved.
Yeah. What was that product even from that video anyway? What were they even?
Oh, I don't know. It's Microsoft Ignite. It's like their internet or security or something. I think it was about security specifically, that conference.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, doesn't. I guess it's irrelevant. I wasn't sure what you were.
It's just Bill Gates. It was all about the way they introduce
the
themselves.
introductions.
The absolute insanity.
I think we should do that from now on.
Introduce yourself.
Yes.
So I am a Caucasian male with a black hat and a t-shirt.
I tell you what. I'm gonna trump you. I'm going even further. I am a Spanish male. With a backwards hat.
Wow.
A 5 o'clock shadow beard.
Jeez.
And my pronouns are here kitty, there kitty. Wow. Come here kitty.
Here kitty.
There's another one. You can use that one.
I can use. That's how we'll introduce you.
Come here, kitty, come here, kitty, come on. You can use that. That one works with me too. I come.
You come?
Yeah. Maybe. Give me treats.
Give me treats.
Speaking of, listen. Hold the fort down for a second.
I'm holding it down.
I don't even know if Mike is there.
Mike has left.
I need another drink. Mike left?
He comes and goes. I could use another drink while you're over there, drink boy.
When are you bringing your own? Jeez. I always gotta stock us up. I'm gonna need you to bring a 2-4 of these one day.
Okay.
look how easily coerced he is. He knows it's true. I'm always making sure that we're stocked with fresh fluids.
What the fuck?
Stop messing with the damn screen,
It
man.
it was being weird.
Yeah, mess with it later. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, about the whole world being screwed. I don't know. Like, I don't like to if we're even getting, what time are we at?
46 minutes.
Yeah. I don't like to move off a topic before I kind of end it on a positive. I don't like leaving things on negative. So where do you think we go from here? Where do you think it? What's your speculation as far as what are the next steps and where we're going? Do you think it gets worse?
It gets worse before it gets better.
But you don't think it's what everybody says that, but who knows if this isn't as bad as it gets? What do you like? Everybody says that stupid thing, and I hate that stupid thing because you don't know when it is the worst.
If you follow the cycle, you don't know exactly when it's the worst, but you know we're just at the beginning.
So what do you
of the crisis.
think is the worst that it gets to?
Right now, with what's going on,
Sure.
I think we're going to see an instance of mass murder.
Really? So you
Yeah,
what? You think
I
like
think it's
a
going there.
war or something like that?
It could be a war. I don't know if it'll manifest as a war quite like we're familiar. There's so many things that are different now than like say in the 1930s. You know, with the internet, with the way conflicts are being sort of had. You know, with information warfare, propaganda,
Sure.
It spreads easier. We have alien technology. Who knows what what role that's going to play?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, you have China rising in global power and also collapsing. That's not going to end well. You have the United States seems to be collapsing. Certainly maybe not the nation itself, but the foundations of it are completely eroded. And the people within it are... You have people unironically arguing that the Constitution should be gotten rid of, which is, to me, insane.
Well, unless you got something better to replace it. It makes no sense.
Well, no,
why get rid of something that works?
Why get rid of something that just gives you rights?
Well, then that's what I'm saying. So that's why they had amendments back in the day, right? They had something. They went, oh no, we have this to add to it. Let's make an amendment. Yeah. So if you want to add amendments to the Constitution,
adding amendments is different than just you're doing away with the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why are we scrapping
like this
something?
freedom of speech thing? Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah, we're gonna scrap things that work, that have worked fundamentally for a long time.
Mr. Important over here who has a job is making phone calls. God damn it, Mike.
Yes.
But ultimately, right now, I think we're following the cycle, the generational theory.
Oh yeah, where you think we're in?
We are at the beginning of the crisis period,
right?
Or maybe 10 years into the crisis period, and it's going to get worse. I mean, you have it's escalating. That's a part of the thing. Like it is escalating. You know, violence is getting worse. Corruption is getting worse.
Is it though? Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
or do we just know more about it? And that's the thing. I always say this to people. I'm like, if you just because people say this sometimes to me, they'll go, "Oh, it seems like things are getting worse." I'm like, maybe you just know more about
cities were not burning 2 years ago.
No, okay.
They were a year ago.
Okay, I know, but the reason, okay, that was a bit of a different thing. That was a bit of a cluster. You throw in
Right.
you throw in COVID-19.
It's
you
everything
make people bored.
that's happening,
Right.
boiling up and getting worse.
Yeah, but I don't know. What I'm saying in general is, so when people make that generalized comment where they say things are getting worse, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that things are getting worse just because you see more of them. So if I turn off the news and I just sequester my world to what's going on outside of my immediate world, nothing seems to be different, other than this bullshit with COVID-19, right?
Because we have stockpiles.
No, I know. But what I'm saying though is you're missing my broad point. My broad point is, though, if you just sort of live your life without being in touch with all this noise and all this shit that's going on.
Well, you're paying what, 40% more for gas, 100% more for meat.
Well, these things, if these things are real and will stay, if they're not just a result,
no signs of them.
But I'm saying, but if they're not just a result of some bad political leaders and policies and things like that, and the result of the aftermath,
just the result of
a pandemic. But I'm just saying, but just shut up and listen to my point. I'm saying, if they're not a result of that, if these are real things that are actually happening, then we'll see in some time period. But we have seen these sort of things happen before. We've had these spikes and these things happen at times. We get hyperinflation, and then things drop off, and then. So it's not like this is anything sort of new that's going to lead to a different cataclysm, is what I'm trying to, my point is. So what I'm trying to get at is, what do you think is different this time around that's going to take it further? Is it the internet? Is it that kind of stuff, the fact that we have this information like that? Or is it something else?
It's the mind virus of the religion. Diversity, inclusion, equity.
I can get behind that. When you start to add religion to it, we've never seen that before. We've never seen religion so...
But this is a vile thought process that so many people have, where you have to conform. That level of conformity leads to this collectivism. It's what you see in the Soviet Union, in Nazi Germany, in China, and all these places. You have this increasing level of conformity. Or not level of conformity, this increasing demand for conformity, that you do what you're told, that the state tell you what to do. The state is responsible. This pawning off of all responsibility to the state and removing it from yourself. Mm-hmm. This leads to moral decay. It leads to just societal decay in general, where, the buck doesn't stop at anyone. It just goes right up to the state. And then, well, what happens? Oh, the state's decay. Well, we need more, people's eyes are opening up to the corruption. Yes. But also, no. It's weird.
I don't know, man. I think
people's eyes
makes a good point.
People are seeing it, but you like the original point that he made there.
Yeah. Oh, no, I actually didn't do that.
No, people are seeing it, right? People are seeing it, but they're not doing anything about it. It's weird.
All ships are slow to act, man. It's like a big ship moving. I always say this. I always use this analogy. When a big ship has to change course or change direction, it's not like it does it on a dime. It takes a long time for that to happen, but eventually, when it does change course, it's pretty dramatic. The course that it's changed, the correction that it's made, right? But it takes that long period of time for it to happen. I think it takes a long time for the masses to get behind. Like, they see things.
I think it's already hit the iceberg, and we're.
I hope you're wrong.
We're up. What's it called? Where the captain stands at the. It's in the back of the ship.
Oh,
up high at the bridge or whatever.
I know.
We're up there, right? We got the jolt, and. Then it feels like a lot.
You might be right, but down. I think.
But
Yeah, you might be right. I hope you're wrong because I don't like to be a complete pessimist. I like to be optimist on certain
I'd love
things.
for things to get better, but
I think
I don't see it.
I think because of
I see the supply line failing. Right, you have because of poor policy, you have ships in what was 100 ships in LA waiting to dock just a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it's still. I don't think that situation.
It was like 67 days on average or something
Yeah,
before they were getting
it's
docked.
crazy. They're not unloading, and when they are unloading, they have these empty shipping containers that they're just leaving in the streets because they can't get people to come in and pull them out because the conditions are so poor in the cities because of the policies. Yeah. You have these vaccine mandates that are causing people to, fortunately.
But they're bucking those now.
The news that came out today in the States, they're kind of holding off on that.
Yeah.
Because of blatant constitutional issues, which is at least they're doing that. That's good. that's a good sign. But we're looking at labor shortages, which is just going to exacerbate the supply shortage.
Although they just had a good month of October apparently too with job creations.
Yes, jobs did well.
Did you hear what happened in August? There was like 4 million people walked away from their jobs in August. Yeah. It was the biggest exodus that they've ever seen in the history of since they've been taking record of this kind of stuff. The biggest exodus they've ever seen of people walking away from jobs and stuff. I think that was because of the pre mandates and stuff.
Like companies were starting to enforce them, right? And
yeah,
they were kind of.
I think that was
people were walking away, and now they're kind of stepping back because they know it's insane.
But it's like one of these things where you try something, somebody implements a policy, Biden or whatever implements a policy they think is popular, they find out it's not popular, and then they start walking it back. Like so, you see these early elections now.
But I think it's more nefarious
Virginia and stuff like that, and now it's swung. You have states that are swinging from blue states to red states. I think when this all starts to happen, you're going to see like next year you're going to see a red wave.
Oh, absolutely. So the Republicans are going to win the presidency.
Right. So you're going to see the red wave.
Whoever's running for whether it's Trump, DeSantis, of course. Ted Cruz, whatever.
But then it's going to go it's going to swing back the other way again. So it'll either be 4 years or 8 years. It'll swing back the other way to Democrats because they'll change their policies.
Democrat to Republican.
What I'm saying, but they'll change their policies again, whichever way they think the wind is blowing, and they'll go, "Oh, we're going to go on this." Right now, they think the populace is people want their shitty policies. But they're realizing that more people are moderate, and they're going to end up swerving back to the moderate side. They're going to get away from being far left, where they've moved, and they're going to swing back to the middle again. The Republicans do the same thing. They swing out right, like very right, when they think that that's kind of where people want them to be, and then they swing back in again. It's just the way politics work. So I don't see any evidence that this is going to be any different than it always has been. The only difference that there's 2 points that one you made about religion. I agree with you. I think we've never seen this degradation in religion before. So that could change the whole outcome.
It's already very different. We haven't seen this.
And then two though is the internet. Is the internet an immediate technology?
But we haven't even seen this kind of monetary policy before.
Oh yeah, we have. What are you talking about?
MMT, that's a new thing.
Oh no, they've been doing this. They've just been doing
MMT,
it quietly.
Modern monetary policy.
They've been doing this. They just changed the name. They've been doing this for years, man. They've been doing this bullshit for years. You look back since they got rid of the gold standard back in the 30s, man.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
and
so
we should go back to that.
Right. So if you're talking about almost 100 years that they haven't
Bitcoin standard.
Well, yeah, and Bitcoin is a whole other joke. If you look at Bitcoin and cryptos in general, how much energy it takes to mine this shit. So we're talking about energy crises and shit like that, but we're producing currency that it takes so much energy to produce this currency. What the fuck are we doing? We're at a ridiculous
crisis.
What's that?
There's no energy crisis.
Sure there is. Of course there is. Yeah, absolutely there is. If you look at different things, okay, you might not think there's an energy crisis necessarily, but I'm saying as far as what's that?
We have energy.
No, but I'm saying as far as clean, sustainable, renewable energy, they're
right, but
trying to move away
from. We have the solution.
Okay, sure we do, but I'm saying, but if you want to move away from that, you're now looking at issues we have issues with energy, right?
We don't just build nuclear power plants.
Well, if they would let us do that, sure.
Plain and simple. That solves all
energy. I agree.
So that's the issue. That's the issue, right? First off, that's insane. The idea that the whole global warming question.
What's he saying now?
Oh, he's gone. He said a lot of things. Look at how before COVID they were saying gas was going to be going to 140, 150, but it dropped as less cars were on the road, etc. But now it's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how things like that just get adjusted.
You're absolutely right. No,
Yep.
so I was just talking about this today. So they did. Remember when they did that back in the mid 2000s? Well, you might not even remember this because you were too damn young. But in like 2005, 2006, they did the same thing. Gas prices shot up to like $1.20, $1.30 or something stupid like that. I remember it was very prevalent to me because I was driving out west, so I had to pay all this extra money for gas to drive out west. And then so they spiked it up like this. And then when that whole little crisis sort of ended and gas prices dropped back down, they never dropped back down to original. They ended up dropping back down probably 25, 30% over what their prices were. And everybody went, oh, gas prices are cheap. So people got used to the gas prices being high. And when they dropped them down to a point that would have been high before and caused people to complain, they went, oh, this isn't so bad. And they lived with it. And we all lived with it, right?
But also,
it's the same thing happening now.
As a nation right now, we are not making moves that are going to decrease the price of gas. We're making moves that are going to increase
I agree with it.
Right?
What I'm saying, though,
I'm
just saying in general, when you look at things in general like that, if you want to raise a price on something, right, a good way to do that is you take a commodity that everybody needs that they're not going to not use, and you go, we're going to spike that. We're going to create a shortage. We're going to do whatever to create an issue with this. And then we're going to spike the price on this commodity. And then when we drop the price back down, people are going to say, thank you. Oh, great, cool. You dropped it back down to a regular price. No, it's not a fucking regular price.
Right.
So if it was 90 cents before the pandemic on average or something, and now it's going to end up being $1.20, $1.10, $1.20, and people are going to go, oh, that's cheap.
Yeah.
Because they're used to $1.40, $1.50 now. But they do the same thing with everything. This is something simple, but a lot of people don't even notice this. I eat chocolate bars sometimes. Have you noticed that chocolate bars? You wouldn't even know this actually.
Well, no,
that they're much smaller.
This. Oh yeah, same with bags of chips.
Everything.
But they also increase prices too at certain times of year.
So they increase the price and they make it smaller. Mm-hmm. And then you look at it, and you go, you might not even notice right away. You go, but then eventually you go, oh, this is smaller. But what are you gonna do? You're still gonna buy the fucking thing.
Yeah, or you buy
so you buy it, or
you buy two,
or you buy two, or whatever. I'm actually old enough. I hate to admit this. To remember, I remember being able to buy 4 chocolate bars for $1.
4, like good ones,
proper
size. That's
4 regular sized chocolate bars for $1. And then I remember when I actually remember the first jump increase because you could buy minimum 2 for $1 at one point, and then I remember just not even noticing, and then all of a sudden a chocolate bar was $1.
Right.
I was like, 1 chocolate bar is $1, and I think back, and this is like when I was in my 20s, right? So I'm like, a chocolate bar is $1 now. But I remember just 10 years ago, I could buy 4 chocolate bars for $1. But I didn't really even sort of notice it. It kind of was, it just happened, and I went, oh. And you just go along with it. And then it just becomes normal. But they know that. They know that about people. They know that with prices and things. Same with wood. Same with all these commodities right now. They spiked it, and now I'm paying $12 for a 2x4.
That wasn't an artificial spike.
Yes, it was. Ask Mike about this when he was going out west, and you saw all the lumber yards just full of wood.
Okay.
They were holding it back on purpose. So this is something they've been doing for years. It's just now there's so much information now that you can find that information so easily. I was about to take a drink, but I'm going to finish my thought. You can find that information so easily now that the only way they can dispel that information is to say they're conspiracy theories. That's the new thing now. Back in the day, they had control of the media.
Anything that's counter-narrative is a conspiracy
theory. That's what I'm saying. But back in the day, they didn't have to say that because they had control of the narrative. They had control over all the networks, all that. Any information you were going to get was through newspaper, print media, TV, those kinds of things. They had control of those things. The internet's a Wild West show.
You still see that now, where people have compiled videos of news stations all over the United States reading basically the exact same statements, just word for word.
Oh, I know, it's hilarious when they do that. When they show the compilations of it, they'll show. I've seen it where you see like 20 different things in a frame, and they're all saying word for word.
You even have it with like the late night shows, like Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Kimmel, and Conan O'Brien. Like they'll say the exact same things, word for word. It's like holy fuck. But they do still have a. The problem is there's a lot of people who are still tied to that.
But there was a
kind of
time
media.
where you couldn't see that, though, and that's my point.
Yeah.
So there was a time
Yeah,
where you
there's so
couldn't
many
see
people
those
that-
videos all compiled together, and you
Yeah,
couldn't
'cause
see
they
the
didn't-
counterpoint because nobody was putting that out. And guys like Rush Limbaugh, when he started his show, his radio show back in the day, he was just by the mainstream media. He was completely what's the word? Eviscerated by the mainstream media. They were like, "This guy's
I
a."
didn't like him.
Yeah, of course not, because he had a different point of view, and he wasn't tied to any of these media corporations. So naturally, he was a pariah. But enough people listened to him, enough people got that information, and it was kind of a start. Really, he was one of the pioneers in that regard. Like, I'm sure there were others, but he was one of the more popular ones, right? And even now, when he died, there's so many people saying how he was this peddler of misinformation and all this stuff. Get the fuck out of here. He had like 30 million people watching his shit and stuff. But that's my point. My point is that it was easier to control the narrative back in the day, and now the only way that they have to control the narrative now is to smash all the other information as misinformation. Trust us only.
That's why there's a couple things going on here. You have on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, they have their fact checkers, which have been completely exposed as bogus. But people rely on them, right? Yeah. But what was it? The CDC got fact checked for COVID information.
Yeah,
it's like what the hell, man? So it's like Facebook decides. But so you'll post something. If we posted a video on YouTube talking about COVID, it'll get fact checked.
Yeah, see, he's talking about the lumber.
But is that people that is that just sort of corporations that have lumber that are holding onto it as like an asset, or is that because a big part of you couldn't get stuff imported, and are we a net importer of those resources?
Yeah. See, well, you know what?
Because I think that it is easy as an individual to go and you see a bunch of, that's a ton of wood. But then if you think about it from the entire perspective of the infrastructure system, maybe
I know what you're saying. But
right? But it all depends. Are we a net importer or exporter?
Now, I would agree with you completely if the end result was a return right back to normal. So if they went, okay, here's the pre-pandemic prices. We're going to return back to that plus a couple years of standardized growth of, say 2.5%.
That's 5%.
No, it's not.
Well, it's not standard 5%. It's 5% just from the money that they printed.
No, what I'm saying though is I'm saying if they said, all right, listen, we're going to grow with the economy. We're going to grow with GDP. So if GDP ran 2.4% or whatever, that's what we're going to raise prices by. Because that's everybody goes, nobody's going to buck that. Everything should raise with GDP. No matter what, if prices should all go up along with GDP in some way, shape or form, right? Because it's got to stay flush. But anyway, so if it did return to pre-pandemic plus whatever GDP ran, then everybody would say, okay, and then great, cool. Then that was just caused by the pandemic, shortages and things like that, or maybe.
But none of that is over.
But what I'm saying though is
we're still having issues.
Of course we are, but. Some of it's contrived. Some of it is they're making this. They're making these issues. Some of it's bad policy. Some of it's that they're.
But it is the bad policy on purpose. I think you are very tempted to give the benefit of the doubt to a lot of people who are doing things that seem so obviously nefarious, that seem to be deliberate or.
You said I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is
you're almost talking.
I'm saying they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, but
to drive prices up. So then
I think it's about prices. I think it's way beyond it. I think we have a power thing going on.
Well, it might be both. But what I'm saying though is
people who want control, people who want to be. They look at. Maybe they don't look at, but in a weird sense, they want a world similar to 1984, V for Vendetta, Animal Farm, any of these dystopian novels.
Yesterday was the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November.
What was that from?
From V for Vendetta.
I haven't seen V for Vendetta. I just know about the
Wow, you need to watch the damn movie then.
I do.
You're dropping.
It's very, very much like what's happening now, right? You have a pandemic that justifies this expansion of power.
Sure.
And then,
and I don't disagree with any of that. I think we're very.
I think you have you have a lot of people who see themselves in control.
Sure. I'm
And
not even
they-
talking about
they get
that.
off on that.
But that's not even what I'm talking about.
And
I'm
that's where a
talking
lot of
about
this
the
comes from,
economic. I'm talking about the economic. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, manipulation of the market right now that's going on from private sector, from people
The
that
stock market should not be anywhere near
I'm not even
where
talking
it is.
about the stock market. The stock market is a joke. Like
moment,
it's not valued on anything. Like there's no value based
Not right
anymore.
now.
I don't think
Unless-
it's been for years.
Unless like the dollar has like gone down in value 70%, you can't justify these prices.
Right. What
know?
I'm talking about though is like so when the pandemic first started and you had people hoarding, safety supplies and like all this different stuff, and they were trying to gouge people on Amazon and such. That's what I think is happening, but I think it's happening in a different way. I think it's happening on the more legitimate scale. Like so, you got commodities and things, and I think everybody's trying to jump on board with this. They're like, let's make as much money as we can right now, driving prices up. And then when we have to kind of bring this down to a level where we're sort of where we know it's going to be acceptable, then we've made all this extra money and we've taken the baseline now and just put it here.
I think
they do it with gas every
I think
10
the
years
ship-
or so.
The ship is sinking, and they're running around. They are running around the boat, grabbing all the jewelry and the valuable, all the valuables on the boat, right? The jewelry, the cutlery,
I know
whatever,
what you're saying, but
right? That's I think.
But what
what's
ship is
going on.
sinking? When you say that, what ship?
Western civilization,
I don't agree with that.
really, because all of the foundations that
No, I
brought
don't
it
think
to
it-
greatness have collapsed or are collapsing, and China has its tentacles all over.
I tend to agree with you on most things. I don't agree with that because I think no matter what, I think it's like a business, right? It's if you look at a business that has survived a long period of time, they go through pits and valleys, right? They go through down times, they go through up times, but they always find a way to sort of manage, but they'll always go back to it, right? I used to have these conversations with people about like finance and stuff when they talk about like investing in the market and stuff, and they were like, "Well, how do I know when to get in and stuff?" I'm like, it's just like business.
Just buy low, sell high. It's really simple.
I would always just say
It's
it's
really
all
easy.
about time. It's all about you're in for a certain amount of time. No matter what, businesses are always going to be in business to make money. So long term, they're going to make money. There's just going to be different sectors that take over different things. But anyways, so what I'm talking about, to how it correlates back to sort of countries or civilizations, if you will. I don't foresee the Western civilization collapsing. I just see a shift of main power essentially. Like I think China will end up being
Okay,
the
but China
dominant.
is not Western. So if China,
I know.
if we become like China, Western civilization has collapsed.
No, not necessarily. No, but I'm saying
No,
I'm not saying that we
necessarily.
will. I'm not saying
Definitionally.
that. No, but I'm not saying we will become like China. So when the Cold War was happening between the U.S. and Russia, Russia was thriving in their own sense, and the U.S. were thriving in their own sense, in their own entities.
Using
So
thriving very loosely.
well, whatever. What I'm saying, but,
famines and
okay, but listen, what I'm saying. So right now, would you
Right.
say China's thriving
to
to some degree?
economically, they're thriving, but
So, okay, all right,
it's
sorry.
coming to.
Let me bring this
it's
back.
coming to a head.
Okay.
There's a lot of
Let me bring this
power
back.
issues
Do you
going on in
think
China.
that two different societies can thrive at the same time?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's my point. So why can't the U.S. So even if China takes over, let's say China, the yen becomes the world currency, and the U.S. loses that pillar, right? And China, they end up having a bigger military than the U.S. They start spending more, whatever. They end up taking sort of the world lead in that regard. You don't think that the U.S. and say Canada can still sustain themselves, or they're just going to be enveloped by China?
Given the nature of the way the Chinese government is at the moment, they will be enveloped by China.
Why? The U.S. never
gonna
enveloped
change.
China. Why
No,
would
because
why
that's
would
not-
two
because that's
superpowers?
not- Because that's not what the Western nations became.
No, but two superpowers don't typically do that.
No, they fight.
It's like but it's like
It's
no,
the-
they
the-
don't usually.
Yes,
That's
they
the
do.
whole
No,
thing.
No, it's a whole thing. It's called Thucydides' trap.
Well, hold on, but they don't fight
Are you not
direct.
familiar
They
with?
don't fight
are you
direct.
not-
What they
no,
end up doing,
actually they do. Are you
It's
not
indirect
familiar with
fighting.
No. Are you not familiar with Thucydides trap?
Okay, so did the U.S. and Russia ever, or the Soviet Union at the time, did they ever fight directly?
No.
No, but they fought
They
a
were
lot.
about to. They were
No, but they never
certainly
did.
scarce.
But
one collapsed.
they would go into, say, Korea, and they would.
But here's the
so
problem.
the U.S. would back
the
south.
Soviet. This is Thucydides trap. The Soviet Union was never at risk of becoming the dominant superpower. He's quoting. Was it the Godfather there?
I was just quoting that today. That's hilarious. I literally just quoted that earlier today.
Yeah. But
that's funny.
The Soviet Union was never at risk of becoming like the dominant. Like the United States was doing so well economically, militarily.
Okay. Well,
The Soviet Union was a rival to them politically, but not as a world superpower. China is becoming a world superpower. Now, that's what Thucydides trap is about, and what it states is that when one rising economic nation, or I'll just pull up Thucydides trap, and you can see.
Well,
it says
listen.
itself.
My whole point of view. So,
it's a
okay.
whole thing.
So has this happened in modern society?
Define modern society. And
Well, in the last
what are we
100
talking
years.
here?
Has it happened in the last 100 years?
God, no.
Right.
Well,
so
wait,
why
no,
are you saying
wait.
that
What do you
this
mean? The last 100 years we had World War II.
That wasn't superpowers fighting. That was
Was
Germany.
everybody fighting?
Well, but that was Germany and the Nazi Party. If you know anything about World War II,
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
well, I know a lot about World War II. I'm a bit of a buff when it comes to that. Really, all it had to do with the whole start of that war, when you simplify it down, was they kept giving Germany reign. They just let them do it because Britain didn't want to go into war again because they were so cash strapped from the first war, and just in general, they're just cash strapped. They didn't want to get into another war, so they just sort of let Germany do some things. They were like, just let them do it. They didn't think it was going to go that far. And then, of course, Russia had no idea, or Soviet Union. Actually, I guess it was Russia at the time. They had no idea that Germany was had their sights set on them. So they thought they were gonna get the spoils of war. They were gonna get like Poland, Ukraine. They were gonna take those things and kind of just be like, all right, here's our new borders. So everybody was just kind of allowing Germany to do what they did, and then suddenly they got crazy. They started going, and then Japan gets into the war. Now there's a lot of conspiracy theory to say that maybe that wasn't a real thing. That and I don't believe that necessarily, but I find it entertaining.
Pearl Harbor?
That Pearl Harbor was a staged event.
I don't think it was staged.
I don't
think
think
they
so.
knew about it and they didn't do anything.
They might have.
Because
They wanted
an
to
excuse.
get popularity with people to get into.
They
the war.
wanted an
Yeah,
excuse to
No,
get into
and-
the war because you had a lot of people who were against it.
I think that's more plausible than the other.
I don't think it was. I think. No, we won't get into 9/11.
But what I'm saying, as far as
Okay,
with
this is
something like this,
basically
it's
Thucydides
like
trap. When a rising power threatens to displace a ruling one, the most likely outcome is war.
Right.
12 of the 16 cases in which this occurred in the past 500 years ended violently.
yeah, but we're not in the same sort of spectrum of
We
of
are at
political-
war though.
Oh, of course we are, but we're in a Cold War. It's always a Cold War.
Yeah.
What I'm saying though is with nuclear power and with nuclear weapons now, I mean, there's a real what's the word I'm looking for? But hesitancy for superpowers to get engaged with each other, to go into war with each other. So you see a lot of that bullshit. Like look what happened with China and Hong Kong. Essentially, they've basically taken Hong Kong back over.
They have, it's part of China.
It's now part of China.
But
the same thing, their next sights are set on Taiwan. And if that
Yes.
ends up happening, that might be sort of the next culmination of war that you see of any sort.
Yeah, but the U.S. has to defend Taiwan.
I would think they do.
Not just out
I
of
would think they
principle,
do.
not
Of
just out
course.
of agreement.
Strategically, militaristically,
We
strategically,
need
they
Taiwan.
need Taiwan. Yeah, I know.
They do a lot. They're where all like the semiconductors, power chips come from.
No, and I get that. What I'm saying, my point to your point there is, show me a time period other than where you're saying World War II, which is not that. That's not what happened in World War II. It wasn't major.
It wasn't a
World
rising
powers.
power.
There was
displacing
no real world power at that time. Really, if anybody, it would have been Britain. Prior to that, was kind of like the world power at the time.
Yeah, the U.S. became the world.
They
power
became the world power
out,
after
out
World War
of
II.
World War II.
Right. So what I'm saying is prior. So even like post that, that
Post
whole
that is a very short period of time.
yeah.
That's where I talked about this generational theory. Like we are just at the end of that cycle that ended or that began following World War II. Mm-hmm. We're just at the end of the cycle now.
So what I'm saying though is I don't think
it's no time has passed.
even though the U.S. is sort of the world power, like I say sort of, it's because like it's not the same as it used to be. They're revered as the strongest militaristic nation. Their currency is the world reserve. So there's things like that. Now, if their currency fell out of world reserve,
yeah,
that doesn't mean they're going to collapse. It just means that it would be bad for a short period of time.
But for everybody.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Right,
absolutely, I agree for everybody because all the nations that hold that dollar.
Right.
But it would be a collapse. But again, it would be like a cyclical collapse. It would rebound, as with any collapse, things rebound. But they're a strong enough economy that they could. It's not like they're just gonna die because they dropped out of first. Is what I'm saying. So it's not like anything cataclysmic is going to happen. I know. Why do you get slow down when you say words that are weird? It's funny how you have to just slow down.
You don't say those words very often.
Right, but it's funny how you just have to slow down.
It's cases that you say those things.
But I don't think that's going to change anything in a global sort of sphere. For us, it'll change some things, of course. And anybody who's invested in the markets and things like that, you'd see a major collapse in the stock markets. These things would hurt people short term, absolutely. Some people longer term, depending on how leveraged or how exposed they are into the markets and things like that. But like for you and me and Joe Blow and stuff, yeah, it's going to hurt our pensions, it's going to hurt things like that. But if we're not retiring right away, you have time for that shit to rebound. My basic point is I don't see the world collapsing because of that.
Which Korea are you talking about there, Mike? Are you talking about South Korea or North Korea? North Korea is a whole other game.
Oh yeah, I don't that's know that North Korea, absolutely North Korea.
Yeah, but North Korea is purely supported by China. Like it's a weird thing because North Korea is
it's a hermit society.
It is communism.
Yeah,
and it fails without China sort of propping it up, and China won't let it fail simply because it looks bad on them, even though they're not. China isn't the same kind of communism that North Korea is. They're more of a.
They're a hybrid system between the two.
Dictatorial. Well,
they really are.
I
wouldn't
really
even
say hybrid. It's more like they use the dictatorial power to kind of.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They use the guy. It's
but
weird.
There's definitely some kind of hybrid between capitalism and
North Korea.
Yeah. But I don't.
It's completely blacked out. They don't even. I mean, they don't even have the internet in North Korea. Period. Like, have you seen Young Mi Park?
No.
She's a
that's
North Korean defector.
Yeah.
She was making the rounds. She was on Rogan. Talked to Mike Mala. She was on Tim Pool's show. She talks about North Korea and what it was like, and like she basically what she described. It was like living 400 or 500 years ago. Like only the conditions were worse because there wasn't food. Like 400 or 500 years ago in Britain, you had food still. And maybe you were poor, peasant or whatever. Yeah, you still ate at night, right? You didn't have people starving to death. You weren't eating other people. You weren't killing rats to eat them because you were starving, or frying dragonflies like she was describing.
Yeah, it's brutal. No, yeah, I agree. Obviously, there would be some bad fallout from a major shift in power. It would depend on what they did too. Now, you would have to think also that
I think the economy as it exists, transitioning in a global sense, transitioning into China-dominated, is devastating for basically the entire world, because
it kind of already is China-dominated.
behind the scenes,
Yeah.
though. When it becomes overt, when they actually have to be beholden to the CCP, when American companies
But some
have to
people-
have a party
Some
member.
people could say that it already is. Some people think Biden's compromised right now.
Yeah, but that's different
So,
than the overt takeover.
I think
that's
it's
like
it's a different world now. I think globalization, I think the internet, I think all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff has changed the world. So I think these I don't know this thing you're talking about, Trucilli's.
Thucydides trap.
Yeah, I don't know exactly
12
what
of
that's
the
all
last
about.
16 times.
But what I'm saying though is I think these things, yeah, I
That's
think
only
that's,
a 500-year period too.
I think
which
that's
is weird.
they might be great when you, but I think they might be out of date. I think when you start to factor in,
I think that's foolish.
well, hey,
It has to. I
disagree.
think to assume to say it's going to happen is the same thing as foolish as well. But to write it off as
No, I'm not saying.
you know
I'm
what,
not
things
saying,
are different.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying that it isn't possible.
There's a lot of
I'm not
things.
saying it's
that
not
are the same.
possible. Of course, it's possible. I just don't think it's going to go there. So my feeling is more that,
Definitely looks
We're-
like it's going to.
well, I mean, in your perspective, in my perspective, I don't think so. I think what we're going to see is I think we're going to start to see. I think people are starting to awaken to certain things. I think they're starting to see different things. So I think we're gonna actually start to see governments change a little over here in the West, especially in the next cycle. You're gonna see a bit more of a shift back to the right. You're gonna see more, again, because when people start to, cyclical, right? When people start to get more of one thing, they want the other. So I think you'll see a little bit more deregulation again of some of the, they go back and forth, right? The Democrats regulate the shit out of everything, and then Republicans come in and deregulate. So I think you'll see deregulation of certain things again. You'll see the borders close up more so than they are now.
Right, but it won't be to the extent, right? It's lesser. It's
Yeah.
right. You're here, and then the Democrats come in and they
You're saying
regulate everything up,
you're
and the
saying the
Republicans
line
come in
will
and
move
they
further
go
back?
back to here. Like the deregulation doesn't counter or reverse; it just slightly taps into, and then they come back and then they go more, and that's what happened. That's what happened with Trump. He did dereg, but he didn't go. He didn't
go
go
far enough.
He didn't go back to Bush era. He didn't go. He didn't go past anything that Obama. So Obama
Yeah, but
still
there's certain
pushed.
things that you shouldn't. There are certain things I don't think they should deregulate because you have to control certain things. But I think it's almost like the micromanage regulations are the ones that are really stifling and killing. Like you got to have some of the bigger regulations to control. Some of some of the stock market regulations and things like that. You're going to need that kind of stuff. But things that stifle innovation or stifle business development and stuff, those ones have got to go. And I tend to think
It
that
shouldn't be as hard as it is for SpaceX to get a permit to test their rockets.
no. But the good thing about guys like Elon and that they'll just do it.
He did do that.
That's what I'm saying. They'll just do
Yeah.
it. And then it's like it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission in a lot of the cases, right?
That's right.
So you'll see a lot of that happen, and then that ends up changing. So you have these regulations, and then guys skirt them, and something good comes out of it, and they go, "Oh, okay."
That's the problem with big government.
What's that?
Big
oh
government
yeah, big
can't
government.
have that.
Big government's always been bad like that.
Got to compartmentalize it. It needs to be more local.
So this might be a sort of a good a good thought. So China, not even arguably, doesn't have the same regulations as, say, the U.S. has for a lot of different things. One of the reasons why they're able to build and do all kinds of things, and
yeah, they can just say do it.
they just do it.
Well, they
just do
don't
what
have
want to do.
human rights
Now,
right?
I know, I that's a bad thing. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is
Exactly.
with the lack of regulations for as far as like innovation,
And they have
stuff,
buildings that collapse because
well, okay, there's a middle ground.
there's a lot of issues.
What I'm saying though, there's a middle ground. So like you have one nation that's hyper one way, and you have another nation that's hyper the other way. Maybe there's a nice middle ground. Maybe that other hyper nation this way is going to pull this nation a little towards the middle. I don't think the vice versa is going to happen because I don't think China gives a flying fuck what the U.S. are doing. But now that the U.S. seems to be somehow entrenched in Chinese affairs and such, and how China conducts business and whatnot, maybe they'll start to move a little bit away from heavy regulation too. You never know. Like I'm speculating, obviously, right? There's no real precedent to show
I don't think
that
the
ever
issue
happened.
is the regulation as much as it is the human rights.
Makes sense.
Oh, that was a
Oh,
while
I
ago.
didn't read that.
Let's talk about
Sorry, we're ignoring you, Mike.
how the Germans knew nothing of what was
least I
going
don't
on. Yeah, that's the thing too. You get governments that come in and they don't really disclose what they're doing. You know?
No, I know. Of course
you
not.
find out
Big
about
government. And,
you find about things like MK Ultra, right? Yeah, that was illegal. No one's really upset about that, right?
I think what's happened now, and we've never seen this before, or at least on this rampant sort of level. There's zero accountability for government officials now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they can literally break the law, and nobody's going to jail.
What about Fauci? He broke
Yeah.
the law. He lied under oath.
Look at all
That's
the
what
hot
should
water Hillary's in right now with the Steele dossier and all that crap. The one guy is actually
Yeah, the one guy did get arrested.
He's getting arrested.
Which
So
is good, but
and it's all roads lead back to her. Do you think
Yeah.
she's going to ever do anything? Anything criminally is going to be?
God, no, because
done against her?
everyone,
Of course not.
she's like the mob boss.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
You know?
that's something we've never seen before. Back in the day, you used to actually see people getting in trouble. I mean, when's the last time an impeachment actually did anything? Doesn't. It really
Bill
doesn't.
Clinton?
Even. Was that?
Bill Clinton
What
Not
did
that
it even
long
do?
ago.
What did it even do, really?
came on a dress.
Well, what I'm saying though, what did it do against him? Nothing. It didn't affect.
Oh
his
no,
case.
yeah, no, he's
That's
still.
what I'm saying. Like the last time an impeachment of a president actually was Nixon. I mean, it would have if he didn't resign, but he knew it was
Right.
coming down.
Yeah.
What I'm saying though is that would have actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
They had him hook, line, and sinker. Now it's like it doesn't matter. It's like it's either fake news or misinformation or something like that. They just roll off of it. Like anybody
eat
who
it
has
up.
half a brain knows that the whole Russia thing was a hoax, but they're still holding on to the idea of it.
You knew it right away.
Well, I knew I wasn't 100% sure that it was a hoax, but I knew that they were blowing it up.
It was BS from the beginning.
I didn't know that. I mean, I don't make those kinds of rush to judgments. I'm like, okay, if somebody's
There's a lot of.
if you bring something forth to me and it's possible, then I'll take a look at it. But what I'm saying though is the whole point is that now that the information's coming out and we know it's been essentially debunked, they're still holding on to it. They're still saying that it's a real thing. Like when are they gonna back off and say, all right, you got us. It wasn't. It's not real. We'll stop saying it's real.
Maybe never.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's postmodernism, right? It's all about the narrative. It doesn't matter what the facts are.
Right.
But that's also a part of this whole new religion thing. Is people just need to be, they just need their worldview reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
We should be sponsored by Budweiser. We should get a Budweiser sponsorship.
You never know, man. Could happen. Especially if later, if they see like past videos, they go, "Hey, those guys were drinking. Those guys were drinking Bud Light Limes.
There's some Bud Light Lime right here. You should try that out.
We're gonna get in some
Yeah.
trouble. See what's-
Bud Light Lime.
see what it is, what we're
That's
doing.
a non-alcoholic beer.
There we go. Yeah, non-alcoholic beer. Yeah, there we go. It's very much alcoholic. It's just not much.
Just not much.
It's very much, but not much.
Yeah, that's right. Lots of lime.
You shut up and you just drink it and shut up and you like it.
That's right. That's how
You
it
do
works.
like it.
I
I know.
do.
This guy likes
Good.
it, but he talks shit about
I
it.
publicly despise it.
Yeah. You publicly despise it, eh?
Like Hillary Clinton, I have a public and a private opinion. I publicly despise it.
Well, I think we exhausted that subject.
Yeah, I think.
So where do we leave it?
Going on?
Where do we leave it? The world's doomed.
The world is strange.
What's strange? Is it
The
doomed?
world has gone insane.
Is the world doomed?
Well, it's not doomed. I mean, life's gonna go on.
How so, though? Where does it go from here, Tyler? Tell us.
I don't know that we're seeing a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Well, we could if nukes fall. Who knows what'll happen if nukes fall? But I don't know that it'll come to that. I think Western civilization is going to collapse and something's going to come up out of that. Whether it's better or worse, probably worse at first. But then the worst, you'll have people that'll know about like.
When you say collapse, you mean just
There-
how, like
There's
like Venezuela collapse?
no, like the
Give us
United
a-
States will exist, but you won't have free speech. You won't have rights so much. Something will happen. It'll be more like China, where you lose your property rights, or they'll go into a communist kind of thing.
Jeez.
or something like that, where just everything, like Western civilization is this the free
idea of freedom,
the Western liberal democracy, right? It's this idea of freedom and liberty, and I think it's just going to move away from that, and it's going to become more like China in that sense, that it's not about it's about the collective more so. So it's not, you're not going to have your individual rights. That individual rights aren't going to be something that are valued. It's going to be collective rights that are valued more so. And I think that's going to lead to like a collapse, in a sense that there's just going to be significantly less wealth, because that freedom is what brought the wealth. That's what made the United States rise, and there's not going to be less of that, and so there's going to be much less wealth. There's going to be much less resources going around. We're going to have more scarcity, and maybe people will wake up when that happens. They'll be like, yeah, you know what, it was better when we were doing the whole freedom thing. But at first, I think, because people right now are fetishizing like collectivism, they're fetishizing big government. They want to be told what to do, what they have to do. It's so weird.
Yeah,
I think that's where we're heading. There could be just a war, and a war would... I think that's where we're heading naturally, and then a war kind of... Who knows what comes out of a war. It could be, you could have nukes drop, and it could be an apocalyptic kind of thing, or there could be... Or the aliens interfere and give us technology. It's a lot.
Maybe the aliens are already interfering. Maybe that's why we're
there are things that might suggest that.
Oh man, this is for another podcast. We're gonna talk about like weird alien stuff and theories of alien interventionism.
There's documented cases.
Teaser alert. All you watchers,
Michael.
You podcast watchers, Michael, and others that will maybe join the podcast by then. I think I'm not with you on a collapse, but I think there will be an economic collapse. I think there'll be a pretty large economic collapse. I think that's coming.
That could hit any day.
Yeah, I think that's coming. I think it's going to be. We're
seeing record highs in the stock market every single day, and it's like, what?
I don't think it's going to be any worse than, say, the 30s or any of that kind of stuff, but I think it's going to be pretty close to as bad. I think the recovery will happen quicker, but I think it's going to be a pretty.
It depends. We got a bunch of weak people.
Yeah,
we got a bunch of weak people that don't know what to do when there's no food on the shelves in the grocery store. So what are they going to do? Are they going to just eat each other? Because yes, they probably will, or they'll kill themselves doing something stupid. Right? Like what do you do when there's no food on the shelves, or what do you do?
Well, that's
when no one
it's
can
not
afford
about
the
no food on the shelves. It's more about, is there the food that you're used to? When there's no food at McDonald's. That's more of what I think the big concern would be. It's like, I'm going to the drive-thru and there's no food. Oh my God, I got to go to the grocery store. I think that's where more the collapse would be. I think it'd be more like the shortages will happen in ways that hurt more of our comfort than our necessity. So we'll fall back to necessity more than comfort. That's where I think it goes.
Well,
I think
see.
Yeah, no, you want to.
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna make a bet on it. Holy shit! And 20 years from now, when we're doing this podcast, and 4 people are watching.
We'll have 4 people.
We'll have 4, at least 4. I think maybe 5.
We could.
5.
If we're good, we'll have 5.
Yeah,
but
we're good. We're great. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
man. But yeah, I think I think we'll be fine. For the most part, I think we'll be fine. I think you're just,
I think humanity's gonna be fine.
I think you're just you watch too many doomsday things.
I think I'm just watching what's happening.
You don't have any reference point, shitbag. What have you seen? You haven't been on this planet long enough to have any reference point to anything. At least I've actually been an adult for like 25 years. I've seen some shit, man. I've seen some shit, man. I've seen some things. You ain't seen the things I've seen, boy.
You haven't seen postmodernism take over. You don't even understand it. It's just happening under your nose, and you don't know anything about,
You know what I know? You know what I do know? You know what I know? This is what I know. Okay.
that you're gonna die soon.
No.
And it's none of
Well,
it's
that's
not your
probably
problem.
true.
It's
That's
my
probably
problem
true.
because you're so old.
That's probably true. But this is what I do know. I know that humans are like cockroaches. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's
we
hard to
we
extinguish
find a way to survive. So are we gonna go through some tough times? Yeah, I believe we're gonna go through some
them.
tough times.
That's all I'm saying.
But I'm not saying we're gonna
die.
collapse. I'm not saying we're gonna go through some
Society
tough
is gonna collapse.
friggin' times. We're gonna go through some shit. There's gonna be some changes. People need.
That's a collapse.
You know
Changes
what?
are a collapse.
People seem to need a taste of shit to know that shit tastes bad. Like,
Yeah.
I think enough people haven't been exposed to shit. So your generation, yeah, I'm pointing at you, pointing at this guy.
Yeah, well-
Your generation hasn't seen enough shit, and you don't know what it tastes like. So you go, hey, that shit over there, is that really that bad? I don't know. I heard it's bad. People keep saying this shit over here tastes bad. You know what? I'm gonna fucking try that shit myself. I'm gonna put that shit in my mouth.
That's why so many Zoomers are communists.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. They don't know that communism is shit.
They don't know anything about communism.
Yeah. So they go,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
really
try
funny.
that shit. And I'm gonna put that shit in my mouth. And then they taste it and they go, oh fuck, this is bad. Wait, you mean under communism I can't have all the things I want? Oh no, I don't like that.
That's what you see. There were people on Twitter. There was a Twitter thread going around. It's like, oh, what will you do when the communist takeover finally happens? And someone's like, oh, I'll
I can't have the
basically-
$1,500 Gucci bag.
basically just do what I'm doing now. Grow food on my farm and teach classes in my spare time. And someone appropriately responded, "Your farm."
Yeah. It's not your farm.
Your
anymore.
farm? What? That is our farm, comrade. And
Comrade.
you will go to the gulag for stealing from the state.
Oh, you need a new
You
pair
will-
of shoes? Oh wait, you got a new pair of shoes
you
last
don't-
month.
You don't get shoes.
You're not getting shoes. You got 6 months to wait, buddy.
Last month, you got shoes 6 years ago. What are you
Or
talking
whatever
about?
it is, yeah.
You got your government allotted shoes. For
Yeah,
a
your
decade.
shoes. You already had your shoes. Oh, you want my shoes that I don't need? Oh, all right.
Well, you can't have them.
You're gonna
They're
no,
my
you're gonna
shoes.
be my bitch for a little while.
Yeah,
I'll give you my shoes. I got some things for you to do, son.
yeah. I got some personal problems.
I got some situations I need you to fix for my shoes. All right.
I think
Well-
with that, we're gonna close out the stream.
We'll say bye to our super guest.
See you, Mike.
Michael. Bye, Michael. Thank you for joining us on this evening. We will